Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good night. Welcome back. I do say back to War in the Web Way. My name is Ollie. I am joined as always by my esteemed colleague Alan. Say hello, Alan.
Hello everyone, and yeah, what's it been? 3 weeks?
It's been about 2 or 3 weeks. Like we had a run where it was consistent, but we always said this could be an inconsistent podcast. It just we set up 13 videos that were consistent. So yeah,
Yeah, we did say that, didn't we? But I think it's just one of those things where just life gets in the way, doesn't it?
yeah, it just piles on as well. But we are back, and I don't want to waste too much time. I don't want to do too much of a preamble. I want to get into it. He said, no, a tier list. I like a tier list.
Yes. Well, we've been racking our brains what to do, haven't we? Because there's so many videos we could do about where we are, what's going on at the state of the meta, blah 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 blah, what we think of the game, and one of the most topical elements is how do we fare into the rest of the factions? We kind of touched on this um,
We kind of skirted
with a
around it.
couple of bad
Yeah,
matchups. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go to the tier list and we can just kind of talk through it. But
Go for it. Go for it.
the one thing like so what's different about this tier list? This isn't necessarily what's a good or bad matchup. I want to do this as a how do you feel when you get paired into this round one or round three and you're undefeated? Like, is it a shit? Is it gonna be a hard game? Is it gonna be a tough win? Is it gonna be yes? So it's very much like a gut reaction here. And if anybody who's watching this plays one of these factions and we get it wrong, or you think the balance is the way around, please do put it in the comments. It's hard. We don't have forensic knowledge of all the ins and outs and workings of some of the strats, for example. But we have a pretty decent feeling about you get paired into, I don't know, just pick one at random, Necrons. What's your gut feeling about getting paired into Necrons? So I thought it'd be fun to do start with that, and let's go for it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So the scenario is you're at a tournament, you've had the first pairing, a couple of days before the tournament, you've just had that game, you've won it, congratulations, and then all of a sudden this is your second round pairing, and this is kind of what are you thinking? What are you feeling? How do you break it down? We won't go into too much depth on every faction.
No.
We'd be here for forever. But it would be what are our initial thoughts, like Ollie said, but also kind of like how would we start to approach it
And
before getting to the table?
yeah, and one of the things to be really clear with this is, and some smart asses in the comments is definitely probably would have written this already, but yes, there is variety in these factions. So we're going to be talking about like if we're talking about Odari, we're still talking about some Wraithguard and a Night Spinner or two. We're not talking about some sort of off-brand bike meta list that nobody's playing at the moment. Um, so we might not get it all right, but we're talking about like you look down and it is the tournament list that you're expecting for that faction. What are you thinking?
Yeah, like a standard meta for each one.
Exactly. Right. And I'm not going to do these in order because doing these in order is boring. And also, this tier list has got Blood Angels, Black Templars, and Space Wolves broken out as individual factions. And we can talk about those, but I'm going to pick them at random and try and do that. And I'm going to avoid one of the obvious ones until maybe halfway through the video because it's fucked out. So, first of all, I want to talk about Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights. Where do you put Chaos Knights? Because I think we've got different opinions about this one.
Yeah. So for all of you listening out there, I'm going to tell you a secret. This is the second attempt at us doing this video, and the first attempt, this is where it pretty much conked out.
Yeah.
But we put it in different tiers, didn't we?
Yeah.
I put it as play smart to win.
You put Blade to Smart Win. I would put it as Tough Win.
Yeah. And the reason I think it's play smart to win is because if I get paired into Grey Knights, not Grey Knights, sorry, if I get paired into Chaos Knights, I'm thinking, right, secondaries, I can go fixed. And
So
fixed is so much more reliable.
yeah, so your fix is going to be bring it down and deploy, right?
Bring it down and deploy because I've built in my lists, I've built in an ability to do deploy through sisters, through
Your
a
assassins.
an assassin, through if I've got, say for example, a Coronos after he's dropped off and done his delivery mechanism, I don't care if the Coronos then moves up and starts doing some actions, deploys and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it, it gives me that other option. Also, um, with Chaos Knights, I feel that they've run out of steam the minute you start to chew through their armigers or war dogs or whatever they are at any rate, if you're going through 4 or 5 of them, or if you've got 6 of them killed, for example, then their firepower is just
Yeah,
dramatically. It feels far more than just half reduced. If you see what I mean.
yeah. So specifically with this Chaos Knight list, I'm thinking it's the 13 War Dog spam, and
Yeah, yeah.
usually you're taking the 5 or 6 brigands, so hitting on two shot melters, strength 12 minus whatever it's 4 d6 damage or d6 plus whatever it is, and the chain cannon 12 shot, strength 6 minus 2 1. So both of those are putting us on our invuln, and there's 5 of them, right? And traditionally, I'm thinking with us with our list, I would probably be on. I'd be the rarer person running 2 Caladiuses. Most people might run one, if not just infantry heavy. And yes, there are combat elements. We'll get into combat elements, but they put us on our invuln, and they can dish out a lot of shots, hitting on 2s, wounding on 4s, or wounding on 2s if you melters. Um, the there's so many of the what's the damn top havoc launcher that goes indirect that you can lose your chaff through indirect, which means you stop it
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
so you can lose all your chaff, and then in combat, you know, both of the carnivores will be killing Custodes straight out. One does flat 3 damage -3. One does d6 +2 damage. Um, they can run through walls. If they're running through walls, they run through your models as well. You can't screen them. And I think when I played this matchup with my CSM, I'm always like turn 1 kill 3, turn 2 kill 5, turn 3 kill 4 or 5, and I've basically negated them. If I'm killing 3 3 3 by turn 4 and 5, he's still got 4 war dogs left. Like, it's still too many, and I'm going to be taking losses here. Like, I won't be able to kill him at the same sort of rate. I just don't think so. I put these down as tough win. I put them down as like there's definitely ways to win this, but you have to play cagier. In combat, you'll be wounding them on 5s. Yes, one unit will be +1 to wound. Um, at AP2 means they get a 5-up save. Like, this to me is just they're an army that can both shoot and get you in combat. They can ignore your screening, and yes, they give up fixed. But I just find them a really hard army to have as a convincing. Well, sorry, to have as a play smart to win. So I had these guys as a tough win. I understand where you were with play smart, but I have these guys as a tough win. Have I
Well,
convinced you in any of that?
uh,
If the answer's
no,
no, then
I think we can always like move them down again as more factions go in there.
yeah, yeah. I think I'd always put these guys to the right of wherever you got play smart to win, or to the left to tough win. So let's see where we rank everybody else. But again, this is what's different, because we have very different ways of playing this game and very different ways of playing Custodes. And so for me, I'm like, well, I want to throw haymakers at Chaos Knights, and I might bounce, and that's going to really hurt me. Um,
Mm.
okay, let's move on to the next one. What do you fancy? Do you fancy the mirror? Custodes mirror. I'd say
Yeah,
you're
put a mirror in.
I'd say you're pretty happy with the mirror. So this is gonna be weird, one of the ones where it's weird, and it's gonna come down to
It's
your
it's
player
it's
skill.
it's down to it's down to list and then familiarity with the faction.
So
Like I mean, I put Valerian in for the mirror.
I was gonna say
Um,
Custodes are quite popular again at the moment. You are not tailoring, but you have things in your list for the mirror, right? Which is
so because
Valerian.
I'm using transports,
Yeah.
um, it basically gives me that big. If I go into an infantry custodian army because I've got a
Yes.
transport,
Very popular. Yeah.
I'm so much positioned in a position of strength against them.
Are you still
Um,
running 2 transports, or
because
do you think you're going to be running going forward?
I'm only running one at the moment. I've got a bit of just tried a Land Raider out. Um, but what it does is I'm running at the moment Pyrrhotite spears with Trajan.
You actually ran them in
Um,
the end.
oh yeah, I did. I ran them at the RTT. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
They were great. I'm just debating whether or not the points are worth it. But Pyrrhotite spears into Custodes. Every field saves, a dead one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's giving me that shooting element as well as protecting me in combat, while I'm in a transport. So that does kind of give me that benefit there. And I, a lot of people say, oh well, we want to charge each other, blah blah blah. I think Valerian,
Yeah.
if someone charges me and I've got Valerian,
Yeah.
depending on who it is that's charging me, which squad, I'm not going to pop potentially my Fort Feel No Pain with the squad because if I've got 2 CP, yeah, I don't need -1 damage, -1 AP, and Fort Feel No Pain. I don't need all three,
Yeah.
especially if I can bring a guy back next turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I tend to find is I'll pop -1 damage, and then the next fight phase, if I'm still in it, I've got my Fort Feel No Pain. And then that is always layered with the -1 AP, so I've just got that extra level, whereas most custodian units in the mirror pop all their defensive stuff straight away.
Yeah.
And then the next fight phase, if they're, they start to lose units and assets far quicker. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say, for me, these are the highest play smart to win. I think happy to play is probably overconfident because if you come into a very good KG player, you're not going to score particularly highly in the mirror, but you probably win the battle of attrition based on player skill. So I think that's a play smart to win. List dependent, familiarity with the faction.
It's got to be play smart to win. Yeah, it's got to be, because if you just throw units around, and if you're not smart with where you engage and how you engage, you'll get hammered.
Absolutely, and it's even things like at the moment, so many people who are playing Custodes want to play with the Alaris. If it's not an Alaris bomb, a couple of the Alaris, they'll be looking at your units with characters in there being like, well, I reroll hits and wounds and shooting and combat. Like, there is always a chance to spike up on things and you spike down, that you'll still have to make the 4-up invuns. Like, you can't just throw things away and try and rely on knowing the faction better than other people. So yeah, definitely play Swords win on this one. Okay, let's get.
What do you want to do next?
I was saying, let's get some of the obvious ones out of the way. Death Guard, because we spoke about
Tough.
Death Guard before. Bad matchup, yeah.
Yeah, bad matchup. Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
We did a whole half an hour on this in the last video, so I don't want to waste too much time on this.
Let's not waste too much time. Trajan makes it easier for us, but if anyone wants to know what our feelings are, please go and watch the other. Video.
But basically, Death Guard fuck up our save. They mess up our combat potential. They have ways to continually spam things like grenades. And yes, although we get the 4+4 no pain against mortals, they have so much output, and you're always punching down into Death Guard. I really don't know how we deal with Death Guard at all. And that's if I'm playing against Plague Marine spam, not even the Demon Engine stuff.
I mean, it's they've just got a lot of tough units, and a lot of them are a lot cheaper than our units, and which also hit hard.
So they hit hard, or sorry, they allow us to bounce off them while they'll keep scoring, and so the things that we'll have that needs to do work, we could be way behind the game in turn 3 and have lost based on that. I really want to play that matchup a few times because I just don't know what to do with Death Guard yet.
It's like what I said with Thousand Suns. Right? Well, when you compare it with Thousand Suns, we can get into all the rubrics around Magnus, and we can just wipe them easily. They're just gone. So we can basically remove that, but you can't do that with Plague Marines. So what you tend to find is if you're going into all the Plague Marines and all the units that are around Mortarion, you're not wiping them. So you've still got Mortarion to deal with, and then all the units that you haven't wiped. And that's where the issue is, because it's just you're not making as much of an impact as you need to. And then they've got non-line of sight shooting.
Yeah, and I was looking at Plague Marines, right? You can take 2 lots of the heavy plague weapon, which is 8 -2 for 2 custodian killers. You can take a plague spear or something, which is anti-infantry 2+, and another weapon which is anti-infantry 4+, both torrent, D6 shots each. You can just get through our toughness and just keep making us make saves, and we will fail them, and that's 90 points. Their units are just insane. Okay. let's do T Sons. You've played this
Let's do
matchup
two
recently.
times. Yeah, and it was fantastic.
I was gonna say this is a happy to play surely now.
Yeah,
With the
this
Devil's.
is happy to play. Um, Teeson's always won a Magnus, so
Yep.
generally he's doing these, spamming of everyone, so he was into us.
Yep.
Now I'm not sure any other ones, but Teeson's is one of those ones. If you can kill all the rubrics, because they tend to be rubric heavy,
Yep.
um, then it's game over.
Yeah.
You can leave Magnus. You don't need to do with Magnus because where you've got a game of 5 objectives, I don't think they've got the ability to make objectives sticky.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You played the
so
McDark Sphere with a 6 objective mission, right? And you just kept
yeah,
and so you went fixed, which I always thought was funny. And you took was it Storm
yeah.
Hostile and
Storm Hostile and Assassinate.
yeah, and
Yeah,
because they have to rely on their characters and stuff. And you, I watched you, and I watched you lose a model, be like, "Oh, that's your objective now." By the way, I'm gonna storm it next turn, and you were just like playing around him, and you were just like, "I can just do what I want." I've never seen somebody take Storm Hostiles fixed, and I was just like, "Okay, yeah, you're kind of enjoying yourself here."
I did enjoy it. He was a really nice guy,
Yeah, yeah,
really nice player. But you know, there are tricks when you're doing Storm Hostile. So if you need to take an objective, don't put 4 models on an objective. Put one model.
put one, kill what's
So
on there, so
yeah,
your obsec get the storm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You played it
kill a
exactly
guy
right.
on it, and then yeah, and then obviously they may move on, like and try and take it off you. But
You got a storm hostile,
it,
like
exactly, you just get it next turn anyway, don't you?
yeah, yeah. Look, I think that's happy to play. I think that's going to be one of those matchups where you go cool, and they go shit, I got Custodes, and that's kind of where you want to be in that matchup. You want to be on that other side of it. It's not
You
couldn't
do
be
need to be
better.
wary of their pimped up flamers.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Um,
gonna say it's
yeah,
not couldn't be better, but it's not even necessarily a play smart to win. Now they do a lot of damage still. They have a lot of shooting. Their flamers can then do Overwatch and stuff like that, and you still have a low model count. I think it's a favourable matchup. So yeah, happy to play definitely for me.
yeah, yeah.
Let's go Eldari. Where do you think we are with Eldari now?
I genuinely think it's a tough win.
I I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
already put it there. Like I think I'm basically going to put it where I want it to go, and then we can argue about it, and then I'll move it. But yeah, 100% agree with this. Again, list dependent, very much list dependent. The night spinners are still painful. I think you were running a transport to get around the night spinner issue, and it's still going to be an issue. Um, they're
It's
still
it,
cheap.
it's not so much it's not so much the damage they can output or the the ability to control your movement that's the issue, or the ability to fire and fade or um, phantasm. Those are no longer the issues. The issues are that they can, because they've got so many very fast units.
Yep.
They've got units that can be picked up and dropped. They've got units that can shoot and move and then fire and fade.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
movement is just astronomical. So what you find is, because we have so few units,
Yes.
we can't screen out that effectively. So if it's a long deployment, they're very easily getting 100 points. Um, Way around it is to plonk our big units on objectives
Mm-hmm. And then
and
play.
try and control the primary. But more often than not, they do still have some teeth, and
Yeah.
they've got an avatar or a Yinkan or I don't know, or a couple of hard shooting units like some fire dragons with Fogan or whatever his name is. Then they can easily wipe a squad. So it's not as if controlling and trying to compress that primary is going to work, because you might not be able to.
And you'll still be picking up losses. I would say the change in the data slate to have the shrug against dev wounds is a big help. I think that things like
It was a
spiders,
shocker. It was a
it
shocker,
was a shock, 100%. Things like
and now it's
spiders,
tough.
how they traded, just like okay, at least I've got some sort of protection. So that's still gonna hurt. Yeah, I'll a tough one for me for sure. Where should we go next? Wild Eaters.
I think couldn't get better, to be honest.
I was toying with this, right? I was toying with this. The only reason I'm going with Happy to Play is because I still think it still comes down to who gets the charge. If they hit if they hit your lines hard with their pre-game moving and everything flooding you out, Mo's got the fact that ridiculous Mo is now toned down is slightly better, but I still think there's a lot of output at -2/1 damage that could get tasty.
I mean, best way around it. I played them once this late, and I had Trajan's unit
Yep.
in a line. On the deployment in a line as long as I can get them in coherency.
Right.
And then to the left of them, I had my 2 units of Flame Sisters.
Yeah.
And to the right of them, I had my 1 unit of Prosecutors, all spread out in a massive line.
Yeah.
And he threw everything forward.
Yeah.
And Angron went into Trajan's unit.
Yeah.
Who popped the fight first.
Yeah.
Did the +1 to wound.
Yeah.
And I had it so that one of them was slightly back on an objective. So I was re-rolling all failed wounds, and I picked up Angron.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I picked up Angron. Yeah, and then but the crazy thing is that was just from the squad. Trajan picked up the 3-man Exalted Possessed that came in as well. So they wiped all the sisters, and I ended up losing half of Trajan's squad.
Wow.
But I killed Angron and an Exalted Possessed, and then I just flowed forward because my wardens were just behind the sisters, and I just went and just hit them again. So that's how it worked.
So what was I say to that is that's you playing smart there, right? If you didn't think about it and you put your units out to try and hold one objective, I think there's a way that you can quickly see a different way. Like it can go differently. And if Angron comes back and he comes back turn 4 when you've had losses, I still I don't know. Couldn't get better. Feels very presumptuous. I think there's ways to lose that. It's hard.
I mean, it is presumptuous. It is, but I think on paper, I think our rapid ingress is so much better than their rapid ingress in terms of what it brings us compared to what it brings them.
Yeah,
the fight phase is where we're fantastic, and we have decent shooting. AP1, 2 damage.
2 damage. It kills berserkers.
Yeah,
even with their blood surge.
Exactly.
Look, they are not quite, but pretty. They might as well be a single faction, what did we say it was before? Where you only do damage in one phase
interaction. Yeah.
So they have one single phase, and we want to be in that phase anyway. So, okay, let's have our first Couldn't Get Better. I still think the top of Happy to Play, but I'm okay with Couldn't Get Better. You get that pairing, you're like, cool. I know exactly what they're going to do, where they're going to play, and what they're going to want to do. Fine. Let's fuck it. Let's do it. Tau.
Oh, shocker! Not even bad.
You actually going shocker?
I'm going shocker. Yeah. I'm going shocker.
I hate Tau. I hate everything about Tau. I hate how they play, how they look. Like the Crisis suits, I thought, they're quite cool, and then the more I look at them, the more I hate them.
It's just the whole game plan with Tau is just it's not conducive to both players having interactive experience. To be honest, is it?
The reason why I was going to go bad matchup is because again they're a monophase damage dealing army. They're a shooting army, but everything they shoot kills us, and so the Kroot move out and they screen you out so you can't go through them. The Crisis suits jump, shoot, jump, and kill you, and then the Devilfish Breacher stuff kills you. Like everything here kills you in one phase, and you can lose a lot of bodies very, very, very quickly. And that whole Custodes play of playing around the primary, they don't even really care because they are so efficient at shooting you. Yeah,
Yeah, and they have so many units, and cheap units,
it,
but very effective. It's a very, 90 points for 10 breaches, and
that's
you
insane.
know how much damage they can put out.
It's insane.
The crisis suits went up, but they're still fantastic. 165 points for a Riptide. I mean, come off it. You know what I mean?
It's not bad.
That's insane. I mean, that you compare that to a Telemon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but tell them
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Riptide Fists or whatever, but
Compared to other
nowhere near
dreads,
what.
compare it to a Galatus. Compare it to a Vendread.
Yeah, so a Riptide is the same price as an Achilles Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Right? And it's 10 points cheaper than a Galatus and 20 points cheaper than a Venerable Dread. Now you look at the Venerable Dread compared to this one.
It's insane.
It's nuts, and you look at the capabilities. You can put the jump, shoot, jump on these guys.
Yeah. I
You
think
can spot for these guys. So it's it's a shocker for us now.
it's funny, right? So but I'll let you finish that thought. But it's weird because Tau shoot on fours. They're a monophase faction. They give up secondaries because everything's a vehicle now, blah, and it's still a shocker for us. And you've played this twice recently, and it is a shocker.
Yeah, I lost by 1 point this last weekend, and really nice opponent, fantastic. But I was just, he gave me. I was telling you before. I think he gave me around 46 saves to make on a Warden squad that had -1 damage and fought from the pain and just blew them away. And that was at Invuln,
Wow.
from a Crisis blob, which are 2 damage each.
Yep.
And I popped my 2-up invulnerable save on Trajan, right? At the start of the shooting phase.
Yep.
And he still burnt through 5 Pyrethite Spears and Trajan. Right? And he still had half his Crisis Suit blob left to shoot. He did it with half a blob. And I wasn't really rolling that badly. So, look, Tau have issues of their own into other factions. I'm not saying that they're massively
Yeah,
overpowered.
I was reading one of
massive
those Meta Watch things, and they're saying that Tau are holding Custodes down a bit, and I was like, it's probably not an unfair statement there, but yeah, shocker. And
It's like. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, you've played it twice. Do you think there's a way of winning that matchup? That's the only reason I take it out of shocker rather than bad matchup.
More armor.
But that completely changes.
More armor.
That completely changes how
Yeah.
you play.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is with the jump, shoot, jump that they've got, they can get angles on stuff, right? And if they get angles on any unit, it's dead.
Yeah.
Especially with the big blob. So you find yourself in a situation where you almost have to admit the fact that you're going to lose 300-400 points a turn from one of his units.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you still then got to worry about another 1,000 points of his army with the capability. I mean, the Devilfish, was it 2 hunter killer or 1 hunter killer? The Piranha's got 2.
Yeah.
These are 60-point units, and all of a sudden the 2 hunter killers, it goes through, and all of a sudden it's D6 plus 2 damage, and then a Melter Shot comes in. Those little things will just pick up a Custodian here, Custodian there.
I've hated Tau for years, for decades, and
Yeah.
I still hate him. But I think you're right. I think Shocker's the right place.
It's a shocker.
Okay, now we're getting into maybe some more of the interesting stuff. Guard are going to be everywhere at the moment. I think Guard's bad matchup. Any thoughts?
I'll give you that. I was generally going to say shocker, but bad matchups okay as well.
If you're running the commanders, right? So if they're running to tank commanders and the artillery, they can do the whole move. So if 2 basilisks really screw up Custodes because they control your movement. Tank commanders shoot on death at full profile, so that screws you up. Their screens are cheap. If you get through their screens, 2 CP, their screens come back. They do damage in a bunch of in a bunch of phases. The Bullgrins are tough and cheap. I mean, we looked at them, so I won't go too much into the detail, but we have looked at them. I really do think Guard is a bad matchup for us. I think there's a way to win, which is why it's not a shocker for me, but you have to get lucky with some of your saves. You have to hit a lot of stuff at the same time, get through it, and then basically try and bully them off of objectives. Yeah, I
mean, it's. I agree. It's similar to Tau in terms of they can be active in the fight phase, but they're predominantly active in the shooting phase.
Yeah.
So that is to our benefit, especially where we've got wardens.
Yep.
But it's just the sheer amount of firepower. A
And they
lot
can
of it
get
is
their AP up
indirect.
as well. And
Yeah, a lot of it's indirect, and it's you've got to start half your army on the board.
yeah.
If you haven't got any transports, the guard army's got 3 manticores.
Yep.
Then sorry to say, but you probably got to have to pop your foot, feel no pain.
Yep.
Turn 1,
and you're not going to be nowhere near them. So turn 2, you've lost them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're losing all your chaff straight away. And then when you do decide to rapid ingress, you were screened out. So again, the answer to this is armor,
Yeah, and
gladius, all that stuff.
but it's not one Caladius, it's 2. It's transports that can do some damage. It's a very different list to what Custodes want to be at the moment. Just Guard, Tau, Death Guard, like that'd be that, if you're into an RTT, that'd be the worst run. Just God damn it.
Be a shocker.
Just go home. Right. What else we got on this list? Let's do Votan.
Oh, tough win. I'd actually say between tough win and potentially moving up play smart to win. I think pre nerf, pre slate, I would have said it was a tough win. But with the slight tweaks, I would say it's maybe moving up into play smart to win. I think we've got a bit of the in this time running. I've got a bit of anti armor. I've got fast. I've got the pyrothite to pop stuff. So I'm not as concerned about Tau as Votan as I was.
So the only reason I wouldn't
it's a tough one.
The only reason I won't put them up into play smart to win is they're still cheap. They still play the game really, really well, right? So your trades are always harder, and we haven't got around the problem of pop the Sagittar and kill the thing inside it because it will still do the actions. So I've played into Votan once or twice, might be twice, and they took fix, but they took cleanse and bring it and deploy, and I was like, okay. So then I was on a particular mission where the Sagittar moved up. He then got his cleanse, and he got out with one of his Sagittars and was doing deploy with a unit. And I was like, okay, cool. So I killed Sagittar, and the unit that got out, and he moved up more Sagittars, and the unit that got out, one of them started doing the cleanse, and I was like, for Christ's sake. So now I'm 2 turns behind on secondaries. This is a CSM, right? So this is still a CSM. With Custodes, I just don't think we have enough damage output to kill as much of the stuff as we need to. And I think that you can lose that secondary game very, very fast if you get bad cards. Because they don't give up fixed. Not really.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's a difficult one. I would say that
that's why for me it's
we
tough
can clear them quickly. We can clear them quickly though if we get a good run into them. And I think if I was a Votan player looking at and into Custodes, I would feel that I would need to double or even triple up to kill one of the Custodian units, which then gives us an opportunity then to be able to get that, get multiple kills a turn because they're going to be relatively close or sticking out.
Yeah, okay, I understand the premise. They're a mid-range army that if they get close, we can start to do damage into them. I understand that. I just think
I think you're right. To be honest, tough win. I think the more I think about it, the more I think you're right.
for me that play smart to win is like okay, cool. There's a way here. That tough win is like, is that okay? What do I need to do? It's a different mentality. Right, Grey Knights. Where
Um,
where'd you put Grey Knights?
I'd say either between couldn't get better and happy to play,
Seriously, that
probably
high?
top of happy. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, I had them at play smart to win. Okay, so why that high?
So Grey Knights rely on movement shenanigans, right?
Yeah, so for
So
those that haven't played them, they can remove 3 units a turn. At the end of your turn, go into deep strike and come back down. That means that turn one they can get deep strikes if they go second, and they also have shenanigans where if you move within range of them, you can pick them up, and if you target one of them in shooting, you can pick them up as well, depending if you got the relic or the whatever else. So they are a movement shenanigan-y type army.
yeah, so the way around that is to plonk your big heavy units. I mean, yes, it may be changing slightly with the data slate and the introduction of
The Nemesis Dread Knights.
more so of the Dread Knights because of the better shooting.
Yep.
However, that being said, they're still, that a lot of factions are still able to pop those things. But for us, I think we just slap our big units on objectives, and then who cares if they go up and down? If we've got
So
if we've got three blobs, three warden blobs on the three middle objectives, in order for them to get anywhere near it, they have to get in. They have to fight us.
yeah, so my counter to that would be they're libbies, so they're still relatively cheap. Their libbies still can do damage and would be on our 4+ feel no pain for the mortals. Um, the combat is so even though they don't actually do that much damage, like the storm bolts will bounce off us. Don't really care about that. Combat 6 - 2 for 2 is again, it's around about like a Custodes killer because of the AP and the damage, not necessarily the strength. Paladins are still potentially tasty, and Drago can slap quite hard as well. And he's in
Yeah,
almost every
Draco,
list.
Draco can, but we've got two or three really good counters. Not even one. We've got Valerian, fantastic.
Yep.
Well, we've got multiple counters, right? We've got they don't really do that much damage in shooting, right? Up
Yeah.
until now.
Crow with the
So
purifiers, anti-infantry, like
it's only one damage, right?
it
It's
is.
only, I believe it's AP1, isn't it?
But if you get close to him, he then disappears again. So you can't move towards him because you go up in the air and then come back down. Like
Yeah, I don't really care if I'm holding all the primary,
I,
because it's we've got Valerian, we've got Valorous, we've got -1 damage, we've got fight first strat. So in in the we've got the was it
th-
go to ground or take cover strat, which gives us
they have
cover if we're in the open.
they have sticky objectives. They'll play the secondary game as well as we play the primary. So they take behind
True.
enemy lines and deploy and can get into your 3-inch deep strike, get into your deployment zone because you can't screen them out really, and they get four. I don't know. I don't think they couldn't get better. I agree. We've spoken about Grey Knights before with the just push on to middle objectives and like just sit there. And specifically as well with this, make sure you screen out so they can't come down within 3. Because what you don't want to do is they come down within 3 and then hurt you. I'm still I still think I'd rather T Suns over Grey Knights, but we can come back to that and as we rearrange that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's work through the last few. I think because it's starting to become a long video again. It's meant to be quick. We're really bad at doing quick videos.
That's it. Well,
GSC.
let's motor through the ones that are similar to ones we've already done.
Yeah, so GSC.
Um, Happy to play. Yeah, definitely happy to play on this one.
Again, they give up characters. They give up we can do a lot of damage to them very very quickly.
Yeah, and you can go assassinate, and then you can go depending on how many objectives there are, storm hostile.
Yeah, it's
You
probably
know,
not a bad
and
matchup.
they're going to be dropping, and they're going to be doing or taking primary because that's what they do, right? They drop close and take your primary off you, and then you
Yeah.
just get back and you got your points.
And I was playing as a list with aberrants and stuff, and they can make them untargetable, but it's like, I don't really care. If you get close to me, I'm going to push into you and do what I need to. And because of the way
I
the
mean,
units come back, um, it's a
yeah,
dice roll, and you can really get quite happy with that. I thought, yeah, I think that's a happy to play for sure.
they've got a lot of damage and shooting, so you need to be careful about that. But where we're now migrating into a lot more wardens, it's manageable.
Yeah, the demo charges will still sting, and if you can get them back, it can like sting repeatedly. Um, I think they're probably underneath T Suns, but we'll rearrange that in a second. What do we want? Chaos Demons.
I think this is play smart to win, purely based on their point reductions at the moment. I would have probably said it was happy to play prior to this slate,
Yeah.
but now I'm a bit like, oof, we can still bounce
Yeah.
if we're warden heavy. We're gonna have to rely on that +1 to wound into the big fellas because we don't have the rerolls.
I was gonna say, so because of the 3-inch deep strike and the whole Be'lakor shenanigans, and like if they try and come down a certain flank and they out primary you and stuff, they can spend the CP to put the two greater demons back up in deep strike and come back down again. Um, yes, a lot of their big stuff wants to be in combat, and that's probably where we're quite happy. But I think that the trade is a hard place, and picking up the demons when you need to pick up the demons is going to be for me it's a place mark to win for sure. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I see a great unclean one, and I'm like, okay, um, I'm gonna throw a warden squad and a blade champion in, and I should pick him up, and then I just about pick him up because he's got that insane feel no pain or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The 4+1
And
effect.
and then I realised, hang on a minute, I just put 400 points into that fella, and he's like 230 or
Yeah,
something.
so yeah. He's really,
It's
really
like,
strong.
like it's because I'm looking at it from like based on the lore, great
Yeah,
unclean one. Oh, oh god, it's a massive demon. It's massive, but it's actually like he's less points than the unit I've just thrown into it by a long way.
yeah.
So it's just like, oh god, but yeah, it's a difficult one, and they don't do that much damage, and they are kind of predominantly in our combat phase, which is why it's probably play smart to win. If they had a lot of good effective shooting, which would put us to our invuln as well as cheap units, I would say okay, it's probably dropping down a bit towards tough win.
Yeah, they got good screens. Everything's got invuns on there, so you still have to get through that. And there's always a chance for dice spiking up, and the big stuff can be quite mean. Bellacor's not as scary as he was in ninth, but Bloodthirsters are scary. Keeper of Secrets are scary, and like you say, the big stuff's actually really cheap as well. So I think it's play smart. I think you shouldn't be intimidated, but it's a don't don't just take it for face value. Let's
Mhm.
do orcs.
I actually think they're probably play smart to win.
Interesting.
Um, I think probably the lower end of play smart to win. I think that uh
That surprises me.
it's the trucks.
I was so th- th- that's why I was like hesitant because their shooting's always crap as orcs. Their combat makes it happy for us, but popping the trucks to get them out of them to do the thing that you wanted to do to them, I was like, bomb happy to play toppers play smart to win. Um, but how do you get rid of the trucks?
Yeah, it's the trucks, but it's also the feel no pains on the beast snaggers that
Yeah,
throws our maths out a bit.
it does. But
And
if you've got guard on, like, if you've got guard on objectives and you're rerolling all wounds, if you are taking the Alaris, they're gonna have characters in their units, kind of thing. Like into orcs at T5 means that our grenade launchers are strength 5, I believe, -1/1. So like AP will
what
do.
the you mean the Alaris?
Yeah, are they strength 5?
Strength 4.
Strength 4. Right, fine. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean, the Squiggle boys, right?
yeah.
Toughness. Right, okay. Okay. So movement 10, toughness 7. 4-up
Are they
save. They've got the
T7?
invuln on the water. T7. 4-up
They're
save.
tougher than our
They've got
bikes.
the invuln. Yeah, yeah. Tougher than our bikes. It's insane. 4-up save. 3-up and cover. Obviously. Wounds 3. OC 2. They've got the invuln on the war. I think it is. They ignore all modifiers to move characteristics and to advance and charge rolls. So it doesn't really matter on that.
Fine.
But it's the 5+ feel no pain. That's the
Interesting.
issue.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
I.
it kind of
The
it
thing.
can you can get it so that you need. It's not a big swing to need 4 wounds go through
Yeah.
to be able to kill one.
This is why it's
Um,
interesting, because I'd have been like happy to play that and probably played it and got absolutely battered. Because I would have thought orcs would be fine. Interesting. Because again, like if they do come out and charge us, you interrupt, you fight first, and then like I don't know, AP2 into orcs with 1 wound, because the bikes are going to have 3 wounds, right? So it's not going to be the most convenient. T-Man does what T-Man does. Bottom of play smart to win. I don't know how I feel about that. All right, we'll come back to that. Move on. Tyranids. Specifically, let's talk about the one with all the lone ops. So they do lots of actions. Because Tyranids have got the stupid Pyrovore, the Biophore things, right? So they can do actions really easily.
yeah.
They can trade up. They've got big beasties, so they'd be winning them on 5s, +1 AP, +1 to wound strat if you need to use it. I think that's play smart to win on the bottom. I think there's ways to lose that
Yeah.
quite handedly because of how well they can score.
I had Nids on the weekend, and
What was the score?
I had 91-70 odd to me.
Yeah.
Had to get into them, but once I was into them, it was fine. Um, they were. It was kind of like he got quite far ahead because of the secondary cards and
Yeah.
obviously the biovores or whatever doing those. Once I'd taken the middle and controlled the middle, um, I was, he had loads of monsters. I just went through them all. Um,
So
I,
I played Nids with CSM, and if they can get into your deployment zone, I think they always take fixed. If they know what they're doing, they take fixed because they can get behind enemy lines and deploy really easily. Don't need to rely on cards then, and then force you to come out and play with them.
it depends because this was the deployment where it's the quarters,
Yeah.
and so we couldn't because I could have screened out if he'd have gone fixed and gone behind enemy lines and deployed teleport. I just would have screened him out.
Interesting.
So he had to go. He
Tackle
had
them.
to go.
Tap.
The Ravenous as well, be able to pick them up and drop them down all the
Yeah.
time. He got like I think he got like 8 on investigate signals or something because
Got
he
it.
just picked those Ravenous and on the other one he dropped his Bible. So he scored very quickly, but looking back on it, it was because he was very effective on the secondary game, but on the primary, I just massively controlled it.
Which I think
Um,
is going to be the theory. In theory,
mm,
a lot of these, like if you can control, that's where Custodes do really well. The primary. Um,
yeah,
I,
I
I
think I tabled him apart from like 1 unit of Ravenous. So I wouldn't put them as lower placement to win. I'd probably put them.
mid.
Um, no, I'd probably say they were top
Really interesting.
because yeah, I think there's nothing there in the combat element which makes me think, ah, crap, because we've got counters to all the stuff. The worst thing that I thought was his ability to be able to put I've got feel no pain on monsters, right, or any unit for 1 CP, which really messed up the maths for me.
So
I didn't feel that I was in. He had to throw lots more points into a unit to kill it than even my units, which traditionally I'm not used to.
that's fair. I I don't know. I think again I've only played Nids with CSM, and they had a thing that they could like move when you shot them or if you got close to them. He had his secondary game. I just I think there are ways that if we're good at primary and they're good at secondary, they kind of cancel out. If he can then flip an objective for one turn, the advantage is to him. Is how I think of it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's what play smart to win is.
yeah, I mean, the first two turns, it was like, okay, and then after I'd rapid ingressed and I got into him, it was, I knew I was going to win. It was just what margin that was going to be.
Yeah, yeah,
He was
fine.
a really good Nids player, but I think, at the end we were talking about it, and he just, you know, you know, Nids, he didn't have the capability because he needed to put his um gargoyles down to get primary
Right,
off me. He didn't have the capability to screen out as well.
fair.
So it meant that my rapid ingress was like, yeah, I'm going in.
Okay. Space Marines, just normal generic Gladius Space Marines.
Yeah, happy to play, I guess.
I
Um,
bunch of 2 wound stuff. Like, yeah, the Redemptors are quite tasty, and if you're playing the Iron Hail version, um, but things like the
I'm
Reapers, I was gonna say things like the Reapers are now less effective because the Dev Wounds doesn't come off. Um,
yeah. I mean, I want to say top of play smart to win, but that'll just make it so uneven. I think that like looking at the categories, I'd prefer to have them as happy to play.
so
Um,
again, if I go back to like the methodology with this, if you get Gladius, you're not going crap. You're going okay, like okay, I've got this. You're kind of backing yourself. Whereas I think that play smart to win is a bit like okay, you're looking through the index. You're trying to make sure you understand what the thing does. How do you stop the one thing that's going to make you lose? Whereas I think if you're playing into Gladius, or even if to a certain extent Ironstorm, you're okay with it. I think you're okay with it. Which is what,
my list, I'm probably more concerned around the Vanguard. If they're doing Uri or Ventress, so they can drop in those what do you call them, Centurions,
yeah,
Um,
fine. Yeah, yeah.
but that's if I can scout that, or if I can, if I've got good terrain, that will kind of nullify that anyway. So it's
Which is why I think it's that
um,
bottom of happy to play, top of play smart to win.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good spot for them.
Fine. Uh, let's talk about stuff that I know less. No, hang on. CSM.
What do you
Where
think it is? I generally think it's a tough win.
I don't. I think that CSM has been really killed, and I think you're going to see a lot more, especially without the Curse Cultists. So I don't obsec you off of things anymore in terms of flipping the objectives. Uh, I have a particular build with Predators because Predators are really cheap, but a Blitz will bounce off of Custodes. I think you should be quite happy to play into CSM at the moment. I haven't seen really a
Mm.
build that would scare Custodes.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, come to think of it now, with the Devil's protection.
Exactly. It's all the
Yeah,
stuff that was making that strong. If you think about even like Possessed, right? So Possessed are very, very good, and with Undivided, rerolling all wounds, Dev wounds, -1/2 damage, Dev wounds. You don't care about that. Custodians don't care about that. You fight first, you're going to kill a bunch of Possessed. If you don't fight first, so you pop 4+, feel no pain, the Dev wounds will just bounce off you anyway. And anything that's not Dev wounded, you'll just I can't see you caring about that really. So that's a place
Valerian
smart
as
to win.
well.
And Valerian, so you get your armor contempt. And like the lords are gone, the chosen aren't going to be around that much. Um, yeah, for me, I think that's very much middle play smart to win. Don't be too worried about it. Drakari,
Yeah,
we spoke about Drakari. I think there is a tough win
I
there.
oh yeah, I played them on the weekend, and Jesus, I was shell shocked with their shenanigans, and Lilith Hasprax with 10 witches,
Which we spoke
you
about
know,
before. Yep.
insane.
Yeah.
Um, what I would say is that I completely controlled into the who's the other ones? Bazaar and his Incubi, they weren't an issue for me at all.
I was gonna say Draz isn't
Um,
popular though. Like I think people have still got that ninth hype on Draz. Draz is
True, but it's more like the Incubi are popular because they're quite
yeah,
cheap,
yeah.
right?
The Incubi
But
are very popular, but you run
you
the
know,
Incubi with the Archon. The Archon gives them
yeah,
something,
it's that they can't be overwatched and then they get like reroll wounds or something. I don't know.
something like that. Yeah,
But I was like, into my wardens, right? -1 damage,
yeah,
fort from the pain.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, bounce. And then I just picked them up in return. It was the witches that were the problem.
Right.
And Lilith Hesprax is an absolute monstrosity. Um, like I think
We called it. We
in
called it in that
an
video. We called Drakari being a
absolute
problem.
monstrosity.
I
And
to me the tough
it,
win. To me the tough win.
yeah, it's definitely a tough win. You've got to play so smart for it. But even if you're playing smart, they can still get into you. And um, with the amount of scourges and ravagers they've got, all of a sudden, I was finding, my opponent was saying, oh, you need to make a save against a Dark Lance. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, a save against Dark Lance. These 3 Dark Lances, another 3 saves.
Yeah,
I was thinking, oh crap, I'm just getting picked off here.
yeah.
And it wasn't until I upped my ability to kill them faster that I realised that that's what I needed to do. I just needed to go hell for leather. But yeah, they felt like I was playing against ninth edition
I was
Drukhari.
gonna say I think the build you're gonna see now is ninth edition Drakari, and I was never happy going Custodes and Drakari because it's transports and kill things in the transports. Otherwise, that turn a lot of stuff comes out. Yeah, tough win for me. Admech,
Uh,
I'm gonna put at
Happy
the
to
bottom.
play.
I was gonna say I'm gonna put at the bottom of play smart to win because I have no idea what they do because nobody's playing Admech.
Um, there's a lot of Vanguard. They lower your OC by 1, which we can counter with our
Rixilas.
A Trajan, but we also counter with our Vexillas. We've got a lot of decent shooting into vehicles. Um, they
They
cheap dragoons and cheap Iron Striders,
they
but
don't really give up
at the
secondaries though. Like
I mean, you, based on the amount of dragoons that people are going, or the really competitive list of spamming Iron Striders and dragoons or whatever, I don't know. You can go through them and you can get max on bid. Um, and then obviously your second is something else. But I, the Vanguard are going to want to go to objectives because I think they get reroll wounds or something if you're on them
okay,
or something.
okay.
And then also they lower your OC and they lower your toughness. So the Vanguard are good. So you're seeing lots of them. I think the issue is from our perspective is we can counter a lot of what they're doing. We're tough. We're difficult to kill,
So
and um, yeah, we can just with a decent invuln, we can if we get into them, we can wipe an awful lot of them. It's not like they've got a good invuln save against us. They're low toughness
no,
infantry.
but we do. So the reason again, happy to play category is we do 2 damage and they are 1 wound models. So a lot of what we're good at just spills out, like it doesn't spill over. Um, so you're paying points for something where if they have high output and they can lower down your toughness, I, that's what's that play smart to win side. Like happy to play for me is one where you go, okay, I'm gonna get a 90 point or 85 point win. I don't know if you get that with that Mac, but I'm happy to leave them there for brevity because we're running out of time. Uh, Imperial Knights.
I'd say play smart to win.
Really, I'd actually put them up to the happy to play. Like you're not seeing Knights anywhere because they haven't really got a build. The big stuff doesn't really do much against us because one Gatling cannon, the battle cannon's decent, but it's only AP1. They're not really running armature spam because everyone's running Chaos Knights. If you got it, I I'd be happy to play Custodes into Knights. It'd be a very short game. I'd be over by 45 minutes, an hour. Um, play smart to win is fine, I guess. But top of play smart to win, I think. No?
Understood. I mean, I'd probably say I'd say play smart to win. To be honest.
But top of it, or do you want to challenge that?
Yeah, towards the top, towards the top. I think it needs to be towards the top because I genuinely feel that
Would you rather
Armored
play
Fist,
Nids or Knights?
uh, Knights.
Fine. Okay. We're in
Yeah,
agreement there. It's either bottom of happy to play or top of play smart to win. So I'm happy with that there. Necrons, specifically the crap that goes up and down and 3-inch deep strikes and
tough win, tough win.
tough win. Yeah.
Yeah, tough win. We're decent into the
Wraiths, but the Wraiths don't do any damage back to us. I think there is a lot of
No,
shooting from
I
them.
mean, we can counter the Catan spam and stuff like that, but you just need to be kind of clever around how you do it, and um, with the movement and the pickup and drops, they can score points very quickly. They've got cheap, utter chaff with the scarabs,
Yeah.
so I would genuinely say they've got a lot of tools to score points quickly and effectively,
Yep.
and
I'd agree with that.
they can get away from us.
I agree with that. And then we've got Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Sororitas.
Uh, win again, probably.
So
It's exactly the same problem, right? Lots of units, lots of points. We look. If I was a sisters player playing into Custodes, I'd think, oh, I'm gonna have to try and chew through these really almost unkillable units.
so
You know,
the Triumph for
go
St.
on.
Catherine though changes this because they can do a lot of damage to us very quickly, very reliably. Um, and it's the age old problem with Custodes. As soon as you start picking up models, you don't stop, and their output can be terrifying. I actually think that might be a bad matchup. I actually think it's
Yeah,
downhill.
what does the Triumph actually do?
So they basically before the dataslate, you use miracle dice and they automatically count as sixes, but you can do on everything. So you slow roll like melters, and it's auto wounds on a six, and then you can do 6 damage. Like I was talking to Jack Type, who's one of the best sister players around at the moment, and it's like, yeah, it's just ridiculous. And apparently the data slate didn't nerf it. Um, the triumph is properly scary, but because nobody's
Okay.
playing sisters, you don't see it, but they are very very good. He's winning
Well,
tournaments and GTS with them.
if you think it's a bad matchup, mate, let's put it down there. I mean, I can't really say. I mean, I'm always looking at them with like Arco Flagellants is no AP.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
No, I think specifically around that triumph build and being able to determine and just keep shooting. And the trade is always down for us. And if they can spike up even just a little bit, I think we lose models very, very quickly. I do think that's a bad matchup, but top of a bad matchup. Um, and let's just do the Death Watch. To me, is happy to play. Nobody's playing Death Watch for a reason. Um,
Yeah, happy to play easily, and I'd probably say the same with all those other Space Marines. To be honest,
so
Black Templars, I'd say play smart to win, but the
I,
other ones, I'd
I was
say
gonna say
happy to play.
I think Templars is up there for play smart to win. There's a lot of push, and they're in your face. And again, it's the same as it's a little bit like World Eaters, but I think they do a lot more damage in multi phases. Um, I'm happy to put them kind of there. We can go through these quickly. Dark Angels, happy to play. Blood Angels, or let's use that as any combat Marines. I'm actually probably go with couldn't. Happy to play.
I mean, I'd say probably towards the top end of happy to play, but again, it's what toughness 4, 2 wound, 3 up save
Exactly.
bodies, and yeah,
The
it's
space,
it's
the Space Wolves, the Doggos, Thunderwolf Cav. It's the only thing I want to challenge you on. So T6, it moves when you shoot it um, across the line. It's not the easiest thing to play against. I don't think that's a happy to play. I think that's a play smart to win. So somebody's running two. So somebody I know very well is running 2 whirlwinds, 2 preds, Ragnar with blood claws, a bunch of rhinos, and a couple of Vanguard vets and something else. Basically, it's a lot of stuff that comes out of transports. It does some 3 damage weaponry, and he picks and determines where the fights happen. I think this is a play
um,
smart.
yeah. I mean, I would probably say place because they're so cheap. I'd agree. Because they're so cheap,
I,
I'd agree.
I just think it's one of those ones where you're like it depends on the list you're playing into, obviously. But yes, they're marine bodies, but they can hurt quite hard. Right, yeah, just scrolling all over the place. I'm sorry about. Let's just go through these. World Eaters couldn't get better. More than happy with that. More than happy with that. Grey Knights. So in the happy to play ranking, Grey Knights, Blood Angels, T Suns, GSC, Deathwatch, Gladius or Iron Storm, Marines, Admech, and Dark Angels. Anything you disagree with in that ranking? Anywhere else you want to put stuff?
No, I wouldn't disagree with it. Sorry, the baby's crying, but
It's okay. We'll
no, I
roll
wouldn't
with
disagree with
it.
it.
And then in the place mark to win, Knights, Templars, Space Wolves, Nids. Would you want to put Nids higher up?
Mm, um, yes, one higher than Space Wolves. Yeah,
Okay,
that.
right.
And then I'd probably raise
The Mirror.
um, Demons. Is
Yeah,
yeah, that's how I.
fair. I'm absolutely fine with that. Knights. And then Tough Win, Krons, Drakari, Votan, and Eldar. I think we're happy with that. Bad
Yeah,
matchup.
definitely.
Sisters, Death
I
Guard.
think it was bad, but
Oh, you're being a little bit quiet at the moment. Ooh,
sorry, I would say definitely bad matchup and shockers are perfect to be honest.
fine. I think that's it. Look, we've gone on for an hour, which was meant to be a half-hour episode because we like talking about stuff like this. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of this. Let us know if your rankings are different. It's always fun to do within the tiers. I'm quite happy with these tiers. And like we said at the start, this is about you get paired and your instant feeling is, do I have a chance here? Am I happy to play this? Do I have my secondaries already picked out? Am I playing tactical? Like, it's that kind of mentality. Um, but yeah, that's it. I don't think there's anything more to say from me. Any final thoughts from you, mate?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I hope that people have kind of worked out kind of what we're trying to do here, and yeah, hopefully this is kind of helpful, you know.
Yep, sounds good. Right, that's it until hopefully next week. Could be 3 more weeks, but hopefully next week. That's me. Have a good night, guys.
Adios, guys.